Hi, Amber.
Hi, Megan.
Welcome to Bad Movies Rock.
Thank you, Megan. Megan, welcome to Bad Movies Rock, where we are still tired of watching men do stuff.
You know what? That's a constant mood, Amber. That's just kind of how I live my life.
You're not wrong. I mean, we love a good action movie. We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
We love some Bruce Willis. We took a little dip back into the Bruce Willis waters after having a delightful pit stop in the beautiful oasis that is Practical Magic.
Yes, indeed.
But we found we weren't done being tired.
Yeah. We needed a few more, just like cat naps in the beautiful world of,
Women-led projects.
Women-led projects and women-written projects and movies that pass the Bechdel test and, that kind of thing.
The Bechdel test?
Bechdel test.
I don't understand. What are you talking about?
Oh, it's that one where there's more than one woman in the movie, A.
Whoa.
Which for some of ours, that's been rough.
Yep.
And they talk to each other,
What?
B. So they have so there's two women, I should clarify, two women with speaking roles.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You've already well exceeded my expectations for most movies. Two women who talk in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And to each other.
Are they at least talking about like a guy that they want to have sex with or that will protect them from something?
That is usually what happens in the movies, but to pass the Bechdel test, they have to talk about something other than the men that they want to have sex with.
I'm sorry, my brain just sort of shorted out.
Yeah, I know.
Trying to think of... Wait, I
don't think two women meet each other in most of the movies we watch, if there are two women in the movies.
It's so true. Even though... I loved Nobody. We know this about me.
Oh, yeah. Nobody was fantastic.
There's one woman in that movie.
Yeah. Is it his wife? Is that all?
Yeah, and she was the one character we were mad at.
Yeah.
Some movies are going to be like that. I get it. But, so many movies are like that, Megan. Especially the ones that we watch. Even the ones we love.
Yeah. Listen, Amber, things can be true. Two things can be true at the same time.
They really can
I can
be.
love those movies, and I can be so mad at them.
I think we have to have two things be true at the same time for most of our lives because the world is a chaotic, imperfect, and unfortunately still male-ruled place.
Mm-hmm. It is.
If there's one gender that shouldn't be in charge, well...
It's the gender that is in charge.
It's the gender that is in charge, yes.
Yeah.
I'm not saying any one gender should be in charge of things, but I am saying that one in particular should absolutely not be and yet consistently is.
Yeah.
And thus the world is a place in which I live, and I often have to say two things can be true at once. Mm-hmm. I can be entertained and furious.
Yeah.
I can be disgusted and furious.
Enter furious. Disgustifurious.
Furuscusted.
Furuscusted?
Furitained. Furitained?
Furitained.
I'm furitained! Megan.
Yes, Amber.
We watched a movie today. We watched a movie based on a book today.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Always a risk. A book series, even more of a risk. A young adult book series.
Ooh, boy.
Perhaps the riskiest risk of all. It's a young adult series based on a female character.
Oh, boy.
Written by a woman.
I was going to say, is it at least written by a man?
No.
Oh, boy.
Unfortunately, no. We're dipping our toe into some troubled waters. Megan, we watched Divergent.
Yes, we watched the first of the Divergent series, the 2014 Divergent.
I hate you so much. Also, it's just called Divergent. So, yes, it is part of a series, but it's also the name of the movie.
There's more to come, is what I'm saying.
Oh, boy. Megan?
Yes.
As we've come to expect, we have a game that we must play before we can get into this conversation about a Divergent, and it is thusly, which is which?
Okay, I'm excited about it.
I shall read you summaries of the film from Amazon, IMDb, Metacritic, and Amber, not necessarily in that order, and you will tell me which is which.
Okay. I think I can do it.
I think you can too. Although this one might be hard.
Okay. All right.
Nah, it won't be. You'll get it. We begin.
Mm-hmm.
In a world where people are divided into distinct factions based on human virtues, Triss Pryor is warned she is divergent and will never fit into any one group. When she discovers a conspiracy by a faction leader to destroy all divergents, Triss must learn to trust in the mysterious four, and together they must find out what makes being divergent so dangerous before it's too late. Megan, quick question, is that the plot of the movie?
No. In a world. No, that's not what it's about.
Just is the plot to destroy all divergents?
I mean, they want to do that, but that is not the main plot of the movie.
No, it's sort of incidental.
Yeah, it's kind of part of what needs to happen in order to do their big plan in the movie.
And must she and Four together discover what makes being divergent so dangerous before it's too late? Does that have anything to do with anything?
It has nothing to do with anything.
Does that happen at all in this movie?
No.
Do they even discover what being divergent is? What
they don't know
so
what
dangerous?
it is. No, and no one knows why they are, and no one seems to have any explanation for that. No,
it's more they don't fit to any one category, and it threatens people.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the first one, the super accurate first one. 2. In a world divided by factions based on virtues, Triss learns she's divergent and won't fit in. When she discovers a plot to destroy divergence, Triss and the mysterious four must find out what makes divergence dangerous before it's too late.
Okay, excellent. Fuck, I wish I could remember which two cheat off each other. Okay. All right.
3. In a world divided by factions, Triss learns she won't fit in.
What? That's all? That's it. Okay, Amazon.
To be fair, Amazon had 2 because there are 2 versions of the movie.
Okay, sure.
There was another one that mentioned that Divergent was based on a world best-selling book series. This one was funnier, so it's the one I read.
Yes, of course. They tried to copy off the other 2, but they just got tired. Bored.
And they were like, I mean, it's the same. We're all just doing the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Fuck it.
They didn't select the whole thing when they copied and pasted. And they're like, exactly. Fuck it.
Close the fuck enough.
Yeah.
In a world divided by factions, Triss learns she won't fit in. That's the movie.
Well, that's closer to the plot of the movie than the other 2.
I think that's what happened here. I think they were going to copy and paste the whole thing, finished reading it, and then thought to themselves, that's not what happens. I guess we can only use part of this first sentence.
Mm-hmm. God forbid we try to write our own sentence, but okay.
Absolutely not, because when someone tries to write their own sentence, it might turn a little bit out like number 4.
Okay.
That was not a sentence. In a world where people are divided into one of 5 factions, each based on a human virtue, Triss learns she's divergent and won't fit in. But then she totally does fit in with the brave but kind of dumb faction by pretending to be slightly less smart, but then the smart asshole faction decides to straight murder the selfless faction because selfless people are super suspicious in the future and also they have all the political power by brainwashing Triss's new faction. Except divergent people can't be brainwashed, so, well, hero time.
In a world.
In a world.
So happy they all started that way. Okay, Amber. Well, I'm going to go with Metacritic, IMDb, Amazon, and Amber.
Yeah, this was an easy one.
Yeah.
I had to start with In a World because it would have been way too obvious if I hadn't.
Why does this one get the In a World treatment? That's interesting. Yeah.
I thought I started writing mine before I read the other ones. I was like, in a future where, or like a dystopian future. It's in a world. We're just completely removing this from Earth space-time. It's just,
even though
imagine, if you will.
Imagine a Chicago, but not this Chicago.
But not this Chicago. Mm-hmm. A different Chicago.
A dystopian one. Ah, great. Fantastic. I love a witch.
Only because you win them all the time.
Yeah. It's one of my secret superpowers. Do you know what my other secret superpower is, Amber? Have I told you this?
I don't think I do.
It's those superpowers that are just completely mundane, and but mine is being able to close doors perfectly.
What does that mean?
It means that like I can like pull a door shut without slamming it, but also while latching it.
Oh, any kind of door? Are we talking like car doors specifically?
No, I'm talking more like house doors.
Oh, house doors.
Or
Okay.
office doors, or
Okay.
doors with a door hand, like a turny knob.
Oh. Okay, that is very mundane.
Very mundane.
I mean, I was thinking at least with car doors, you increase the longevity of the car doors. Sweet, latchy goodness, but not get a good
Not car
Uber
doors.
rating.
Not car doors, Amber.
They don't like it when you slam the door.
No.
Okay. I'm
Anyway.
uselessly psychic.
Yeah, see, that's your mundane superpower. That's a little bit more exciting than mine.
Not at all, because the things that I predict are so pointless as to be inane.
Yeah.
It's not even mundane. My thing is inane.
Oh, you're a inane superpower.
My inane superpower. I can guess when something pointless might have happened or will happen.
That's beautiful, Amber. Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, I've gotten more than one text of Amber asking if I had done something that I had literally just finished doing.
I don't understand why. And it's pointless. It's not,
Sure.
it serves no purpose. I get no advantage from this.
No.
It's actually ultimately just super disappointing.
Yeah.
Two things can be true at once, Megan.
Yes.
I can be both psychic and useless.
Yep. So many times I get a text from Amber that says, "Did you just close that door perfectly?" And I'm like, "Yup."
You know I did.
Abso-fucking-tootly I did.
Every time.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's talk about some people who do not close doors perfectly. Metaphorically speaking, it's time for the Critics' Corner.
It is. Amber, the critics did not appreciate this movie. Rotten Tomatoes, it's 41 for the critics and 69. Yeah. Audience. Up top, my brother.
6 number. Metacritic, 48 for the critics, 60 for the users.
Yep.
This shouldn't surprise me. And I guess it doesn't. And I think that bums me out.
Sure.
In watching this movie, I think this is a solid 60s.
Solid 60 for sure, Amber.
Easily. It's not groundbreaking. The story isn't amazing or super duper unique. I've never seen this before. Wowzers. But by every metric of an action sci-fi movie, solid story, solid action, excellent choreography, fantastic acting, decent dialogue, great sets, cinematography is great. It is an entertaining movie that is well performed and well made with a lot of attention to detail. So for me, regardless of the other aspects, that's a 60 movie.
Right. I don't know why my like touchstone is the Expendables movies, but the Expendables 1 and 2 were rated better than this movie.
That's so fucking fucked. I feel like we maybe watched the Expendables so that we could have that metric.
Yeah.
The backstop of what the fuck?
Yeah, the first one was like a 42 and the second one was like a 60-something for the Expendables.
I mean, 42 is lower than a 48, but I guess that's about the same for Rotten Tomatoes is what you're looking at.
Yeah, this is Rotten Tomatoes. It's 41 anyway.
That's just...
It's wild, right?
Because if you think about what I just said about this movie and then apply that same ruler to the Expendables, it falls wildly short. The story is nonsensical. The dialogue is nonsensical. The acting is not good.
Nonsensical.
The choreography is ultimately kind of underwhelming.
Yeah.
It's just big, loud, splashy, funny-ish, and a bunch of action stars that you recognize from other things nostalgically.
Right. I would be surprised if someone who didn't already have like fondness in their heart for some of those actions and stars to actually enjoy the Expendables.
Whereas Divergent, it's a pleasant movie.
It really is.
It's a little grim, it's a little dark because it's dystopian, but there's joy in it. There's pathos in it, and real acting.
Yeah. Very good acting. Yes, absolutely.
And honestly a solid, decent story that is aimed at young adults, which I think is, it has a fair message that I think is enacted quite nicely. And there's a fucking young woman at the head of the whole thing. And it is written by another woman. So here's a story that I feel like needs to exist, and I'm glad that it does, and then the critics shit all over it. Why is that? Why is it that this young woman-led, female author written story is so poorly reviewed? I don't think it's because the movie itself is actually bad. I think it's because we pick apart things that are written for young adults. Generally speaking, if it's a movie based on a young adult book, especially young adult series, they're going to have more heavy scrutiny on it. In the same way that, you know, movies with overblown budgets tend to get dinged a little bit more.
Sure.
I think also the fact that it's headed by a young girl is not helping it either. For as much praise is the main actress who plays Triss, the main character, is amazing in it. And her name is Shailene Woodley, and she's very, very good. And she gets a lot of praise. So the reviews that are like, she's great, but the movie's boring. The movie's derivative. They mention the Hunger Games because the Hunger Games came out 2 years. The movie came out 2 years before this one did.
Right.
They're both dystopian futures. And there's a young woman who's in charge of things. Who's running the story, and we focus on her. Other than that, these movies are not very similar.
Right. It's like Practical Magic and Witches of Eastwick. Like it's not the same movie just because there's similar themes in it. And like you can say that dystopian futures are a derivative or whatever, but like it's a genre that a lot of things fall into these days. Like, and even before these days, like, you know, there's a lot of them. Movies, TV shows, a lot of dystopian shit going on.
I mean, it's basically...
Real life, you know, etc.
Did you say... Oh, real life, yes.
Yes.
Yes. Sadly. It's like saying you should compare Star Wars and Star Trek because they're both in space. And, well, there's that old joke of you like one over the other. To actually compare space magic ninjas to military science officers, there's not really a lot of overlap beyond the fact that they're flying around in space on fucking spaceships. The actual IP is super different.
Right.
So you have, dystopian future where society has taken some zigs and some zags, and we're following a woman. That's about it.
Yes. Yeah.
I guess there are districts and versus factions. So they break people up into groups, but that's kind of a thing that happens in I don't know.
There's a lot of, I mean, that's Harry Potter too, right? That's like break them up into houses, break them up into factions, break them up into districts. Yeah, that's a thing that happens.
Based on specific characteristics. This has more in common with Harry Potter than it does with the Hunger Games. Because the Hunger Games, you're just born into a district and it's a certain style of work and level of poverty. Whereas in Harry Potter, you are sorted into a house based on your attributes.
Which is exactly what this does.
Bravery or intelligence or kindness or cunning.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I guess there's just not like a selfless one.
There's not a selfless
Harry Potter,
one. I imagine you just lump the kind and the selfless people into the same bullshit house of bullshit because fuck those people. Which this movie also kind of seems to feel.
It says kind of fuck these people, yeah.
Fuck selfless people. We're openly suspicious of those assholes.
Of course we are.
Let's kill them.
What?
No,
Wait,
but
what
really.
did you just say, Amber?
No, but really. Apparently.
It's selfless. You're going to kill the selfless people?
We're going to kill
What's happening?
They're feeding the factionless, Megan. Fuck those people.
So the factionless, you mean like the poor and the people without a place to be?
Yes. They're giving them some of the food that we have plenty of.
But there's no food crisis or anything. There's no...
Why are they stealing the food, Megan?
Yeah, but there's not stealing the food,
I don't even think they're giving it to the factionless. I think they're keeping it for themselves.
But you also have plenty of food. What do you fucking care?
You make an excellent point. But fuck them. They have all the political power and I want it.
I see. Okay. All right.
I think...
Yes.
As me. That this movie was more poorly reviewed by a lot of critics because of where it comes from and who's at the head of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I could be very, very wrong, but in terms of quality, it is several steps above the Expendables.
Yes, like many, many steps above the Expendables.
And
Which again, a fun watch, but not.
But not and not for as wide an audience. I think The Expendables is a very niche movie, whereas this has much larger, wider appeal.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it gets dismissed for all of the attributes that we've already listed. So I would, as usual, take exception to the critics and their opinions and tell you to just not listen to them.
Yeah, don't listen to them.
Listen to us. We're so much smarter.
We're so much smarter than them. I will say that I read a Bustle review by Ali Funk, who mentions that, and this stood out to me, that in this movie, the heroine does not get a makeover, as opposed to many, 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 many other women-led movies. Like we're kind of in the middle of the movie, in the heat of her, like the heroine like changing herself in order to usually like win a guy, or usually it's a guy, but like to kind of change herself to make her life better. She's now has a makeover. Nothing happens in that like that in this movie, which is fantastic.
She gets more muscles.
She gets more muscles. She trains.
She fights and shoots better.
Sure. Yep.
That's a kind of makeover.
But it's not like a here wear something else to be prettier.
She doesn't get like a haircut. Mm-mm. Does she stop wearing glasses?
No, she does not.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I feel I can relate to this even less now than I already could.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to be pretty.
Well,
I want someone to tell me how I'm supposed to look so that I can fit in and grow into my true self.
Mm-hmm.
The prettier self.
Yeah. The prettier self.
Well, bye, critics.
Yeah, bye, critics. Amber, what do you like about this movie?
In a world. This is not an amazing movie by any stretch of the imagination. It is a good movie. It is a solid movie.
Yeah.
It is an entertaining movie. It is not something that stands out to me as you have to see this. This did such a unique thing or such a beautiful thing or such a I don't know. It does not have an exceptional quality to it beyond the fact that it is, I think, a very well constructed sci-fi action movie that is led by a female protagonist.
Right.
It's sad that that's exceptional, but it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it is widely appealing to a fairly diverse audience for the fact that it is competently done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I've already mentioned this, but the action and choreography, great. There's a lot of attention to detail. There's a very specific fight style that they go for.
Mm-hmm.
The training is intense and demonstrates a clear kind of upscaling from here's somebody who's never fought before because she was part of a selfless faction to here's somebody who's thrown herself into this and worked her way up. She's not going to be the best fighter, but she is a very good fighter.
Right.
And I like that too. I like the fact that she doesn't become the best. She has to scrape her way off the bottom.
Right. And like realistically so, like, and she's not given superpowers. She's given drive, or she has drive, I should say.
Exactly.
Like, so, yeah.
Yeah. It's
Just
sheer desire to both belong, but also prove herself. I think more than anything, to herself.
right. Yeah, absolutely.
There isn't as much as so Triss Pryor is our main character. She starts as there are 5 factions in this world: friends, abnegation, dauntless, candor, erudite, and another one. It's a fucking 7 dwarf situation, Megan. Hold on, I'm gonna get there. Amity.
Yep. Amity.
We don't spend a lot of time with them, so they're easy to forget.
We do not.
Each one is based on a virtue. Dauntless is bravery.
Mm-hmm.
Candor is honesty, and they're like the law people. The dauntless people are kind of the military cop people. Erudite are the science people. They're smirt.
Yep.
Abnegation are the selfless people. They're charitable. They run the politics and they're in charge because they're selfless, so they can be trusted. Yeah. And then Amity, they're kind and they're happy and they do all the farming.
And they do farming. Yep.
Sounds a little bit like slave labor to me, but whatever.
They're happy about it.
Then there's factionless people. They're just the poor who live on the streets because they don't have a faction, so fuck them.
Right. They don't fit in, so yeah.
Fitting in is really important. When you reach a certain age, you are tested in your brain to see which faction you belong to.
Right.
But on your choosing day, you can decide which faction you want to be in despite what your test says.
Right. Yep.
Most people test into their birth faction. And most people wind up selecting their birth faction. Some people don't.
Yep.
And our main character, Triss, when she goes through the brain test, she's told it was inconclusive because she tested for all the factions.
Right. Which makes her...
Divergent.
Yes.
Don't really learn what that means. Beyond, she isn't one thing, she's all things, or multiple things, maybe not all of them, but she scares them because she doesn't fit cleanly into a box.
Right.
And so they'd kill her for that.
Right.
She learns this over time as she's fitting into a box.
Right, as she's trying to fit. Yeah, she's trying really hard to fit into that box. And the reason that there are these 5 factions is because, dystopian world, things got all fucked up. And so they want these 5 factions in order to keep the peace is the, overall plan.
Exactly.
And disregarding the fact that, if you are factionless, you're just kind of thrown to the ground. And that doesn't seem terribly peaceful or nice.
It's peaceful for the people in the factions, Megan, because they don't have to deal with somebody who doesn't quite fit in.
I guess so. But it does seem like there is a very prominent, you are born and raised to want to fit in. Yes.
And to cultivate certain attributes, like the... Right. You see glimpses of Triss's life as she was raised in abnegation to one of the ruling families in abnegation. And you don't look at yourself in the mirror. They have very little mirror time. They wear gray, drab clothes. They're supposed to help people and think of others before they think of themselves. They eat bland food.
But they steal all of the bland food, Amber.
They don't even eat meat, Megan.
Yep.
They live in really plain houses that all look identical.
Yeah.
Whereas the glimpses you get of erudite, they live in these big, fancy, more modern buildings because science and candor looks like fucking courtrooms. And
right.
I assume Amity just sleep in tents and fields. I don't know.
Yeah. And Dauntless is in some sort of cave warehouse thing.
It's like a warehouse quarry where they just train all the time and jump on trains. But you see them appealing to Triss just because they run everywhere. They climb on things. They're fearless. They're joyful. They're fucking crazy.
Oh, yeah. They run everywhere. They are, they're unhinged. They there's this train, as Amber said, that seems to be in perpetual motion. I imagine it much like a Snowpiercer, but on a much smaller track where it just kind of goes around and around. This is dystopian Chicago, and it just goes around and around, and they just have to catch it whenever they see it come by. And there's no subway stations. The train doesn't stop, so they always jump on it or jump off of it. Yeah, pretty great.
They have to climb two-story platform to
climb the L to
into
come
a
up.
Position to jump on it.
Yeah.
Jumping off of it necessitates a long gap to a rooftop. But she's into it. She's seen them from afar, and she wants to be a part of it, and that's what she chooses. And there's, as much as you would think that the idea is to reject the rigidity of these categories, they also show that there's a clear joy and belonging and acceptance and finding a place where you feel like you can be more yourself. She did not feel comfortable in abnegation, despite the fact that she could extol those virtues. She feels more comfortable in Dauntless and does fit in.
Right.
because she
doesn't
is
work at it.
fearless.
Yeah.
She has to
Right,
work
she
at the
is
physical
fearless,
aspects of it, but like she
Right.
has that fearless spirit.
She does.
But dang it, she's also kind of smart, and she sometimes thinks for herself, and that just
It's not a good soldier, Amber.
she's not the best soldier, Megan.
No, she's not.
So this is the kind of the general plot, and I think it's perfectly good enough.
Good enough.
Good enough. And so the first part of it is her finding her place, and then the discomfort of kind of realizing she doesn't quite fit. The first part of the training is physical. She almost doesn't make it, but she manages it. Mm-hmm. And in a spectacular fashion, you know, she actually helps her team win the capture the flag game, you know, just after she's been knocked out by the top ranked asshole because one of the guys in charge of the training is a sociopath and hates her.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So the Dauntlets, like, management are all just sociopathic, power-hungry,
Men.
violent men. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Except for one.
Ah, yes, four. Yes.
We're
Four, played by Theo James.
Indeed. We're introduced to Four. He's one of the trainers. He's the one who's training the new initiates who were not born in Dauntless.
Right.
So Triss's main social group is just a bunch of people from a bunch of different factions who decided to switch to Dauntless. Her main friend is played by Zoe Kravitz. She's from Candor. She's got some erudite friends. Her main antagonist is from Candor. That guy's an asshole.
He is.
Peter. Screw that guy.
Peter. Miles Teller, yes. Who actually played her, I believe, played her boyfriend in the Fault in the Stars.
Aw,
No,
that's funny.
that's not true. Her brother played her boyfriend in Fault of the Stars.
What?
But she's friends with Miles Teller in real life. Yeah, the actor who plays
Sorry, the actor who plays her brother in this movie.
Yes, the actor who plays her brother
Because
in
what
this
you
movie.
said with your
What did I
mouth
say?
words was bonkers.
Okay.
You basically told me that Woodley's actual brother played her boyfriend in that movie.
Oh no, sorry. Her brother in this movie.
Ansel Elgort.
Yes, sure. Played her boyfriend in The Fault in Our Stars.
Fascinating and excellent trivia. Thank you, Megan.
You're welcome, and I'm sorry I led you astray.
What you said was very confusing.
I usually do that. It's a talent of mine.
So she kissed her brother a bunch in a movie? That doesn't seem right.
That doesn't seem correct at all.
But I'm trying to remember what we were talking about before this, and I got very distracted.
Sorry.
Four.
That's on me.
Four is training her and her
Yes.
merry band of other faction misfits. And he
Renegades.
seems like a decent guy. You know, he's intense, standoffish, menacing, but ultimately seems to have an okay heart. You know, he's not a
Yeah.
sociopath somehow. And
Yeah, a little squishy inside.
you're told he could be in a higher level leadership role. He was first in his class when he came through training, but he seems to be more interested in being an intelligence gatherer and a trainer.
Yeah.
And you see, like, inklings of a connection between him and Triss. He seems to, you know, take an interest in her training and want her to succeed, despite the fact that she does not seem terribly capable of the physical aspect. Where things really come into play is that the second part of training, it's mental, Megan.
Yeah.
Because if there's one thing that's important to Dauntless, it's overcoming fear. So they use super advanced technology to force you to hallucinate all of your fears, and then then people can see you doing it.
Yeah, they can project what you're thinking on the big screen.
And then you're supposed to work through them, and the faster you do it, the better you are. And like, it's really hard, and a lot of people fail and do very poorly. But first go, Triss makes it through in 3 minutes. That is 4 times faster than most people, Megan.
See, Amber, this is a problem though. That is too fast. You want to be fast, but not too fast.
Too fast. She, instead of working her way through her fears like a Divergent would by finding some sort of tool or path.
You mean a Dauntless would.
Sorry, a Dauntless word. That's right. She's doing it like a Divergent.
Yes.
Because while she's hallucinating, she realizes, oh, this shit isn't real.
So it's like lucid dreaming. She's
It
like,
is.
well, fuck this. I'm going to fly.
Indeed. And 4 realizes that he has a
Yes.
divergent on his hands. And instead of murdering her, he helps her get through the training like a dauntless.
Right. Kind of, so she has to control her urge to just, like, do whatever the fuck she wants to. And
Bend
to
that
actually
spoon, Triss. No, don't do it! Don't bend
Nope,
the spoon!
Yep.
I think the training aspect is interesting. I think it is a pretty long movie. It's over 2 hours.
It is, yeah. It doesn't feel like that. Like, I didn't feel like it was lagging very much.
No.
I enjoyed it all.
I felt like the pacing was good, and a lot of times especially with movies based on books, they have to cram a whole bunch in, and it feels rushed. It feels like you're missing something, and I think that there were certainly aspects of that. You didn't get a lot, and some of the critics mentioned this, you didn't get a lot of the interior lives of the characters. You didn't get a lot of fleshing out or development for anyone other than kind of the main 2. I get the sense that the character that Maggie Q played might have had more to do in the books, but maybe not.
Yeah, I want her to have more. I hope she's in the other movies.
I do too. But I think it's enough. It's enough to be invested in the main characters.
Sure.
It's enough to believe in the friendships and the enmities that spring up as the movie progresses. And it really doesn't. It has good pacing. I feel like I'm given enough detail, and we're not lingering in places that we don't need to linger in. And I think they hit the notes that they want to hit with a lot of competency. If I'm supposed to be sad, I get it. If I'm supposed to feel her elation, I get that too.
Right. And despite being a dystopian movie, and despite this dauntless faction that she's in being very concentrated on being fearless, like, there's a lot of joy that happens in her life as she's kind of discovering who she wants to be.
Yep.
And yeah.
Yep. Her first failure in training is immediately preceded by her bonding even closer with Zoe Kravitz's character and them going to get tattoos together.
Right.
And kind of that it should feel depressing and terrifying, because if she fails, she's factionless. But instead, there's sort of a delightful, joyous resistance to that, to the grimness of the situation. It's, let's have some fun. Let's bond and become even more dauntless, because dauntless is about getting piercings and tattoos and being fearless and doing whatever. And, you know, we'll take it one day at a time, and to not kind of be overwhelmed by the axe hanging over your head. And I think they do accomplish that pretty well.
Yes, agreed.
And when they complete, you know, the physical aspect of the training, there's that zipline scene that's silly and pointless, but also it's an interesting,
yeah. And she is flying. I mean, she's like essentially flying in this, where like it's about fear, and it's also about like enjoying the beauty of the dystopian city that she lives in. And yeah,
it's an interesting celebration of having completed this sort of rite of passage, followed by another rite of passage that is itself sort of a solitary celebration of fearlessness and the city that you're going to be protecting. And there's something underpinning everything that feels very genuine and well thought out, without being, it doesn't feel trite, derivative, cardboardy, lazy.
Yeah, agreed.
And it's very well sold by Woodley.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, she ends up being kind of, I mean, obviously she's the main protagonist, but like the heart of the movie as well, being that like her acting kind of pulls it all together.
We spend a lot of time on her face, and
yeah, and it's an adorable face, and she does well with it.
Yeah, she's doing good work.
Amber, so it sounds like she's found herself, and then that's the end of the movie.
You would think so. Yeah, she found herself.
Oh.
She very, with the help of 4, was able to sublimate her divergency and come forward into the beauty that is dauntless. She's in.
Yeah.
She did it.
Good. Excellent.
Only, unfortunately, immediately following this,
okay,
shit goes fucking bad.
Yeah, super duper bad.
They have been seeding some displeasure with Abnegation, the faction that's in charge. that is caused by the leadership in Erudite, who believe that they should be in charge. They're the science people, and they're led by Janine, played by Kate Winslet.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been spreading rumors about the ruling factions and families. And, wouldn't you know it, Triss is one of the kids in one of the ruling factions. And she and her brother both didn't stay with abnegation. And it's a whole fucking thing, basically.
It's a whole thing, yeah.
Basically, Erudite wants to stage a coup.
Yes.
But they're science jockeys, Megan. They're microscope monkeys.
Yeah, they're potion makers, Amber.
I don't think that's what they're doing, but okay.
Well, they make those solutions that make the soldiers bad or brainwashed.
They're science potion makers.
They're science potion makers, Amber.
Yes. They need an army. Dauntless is an army. How do you get the army to do what you want them to do when what you want them to do is to shoot unarmed, selfless people wearing gray clothes? Well, you brainwash them, Megan.
Yeah, you both brainwash them to follow orders, and then you brainwash them by like making them think they're still in a simulation.
Yep.
The simulations that they do all the time in order to prove that they're fearless. So
yeah, you inject them with some stuff, and then computers control their brains and make them shoot people.
Science potion. Say it, Amber. Science potion.
You inject them with science potion, and then use magic touchy screens.
Yes.
To make their brains do bad mojo with guns.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
To unarmed people begging for their lives, whose only crime is to be selfless.
Yeah, it's disturbing.
Fuck selfless people is what this movie says.
Yeah, this is a big fuck you to selfless people.
They are suspicious and they deserve to die.
Mm-hmm.
So says the science monkeys.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's an evil conspiracy between Dauntless leadership, who's in on this.
Right. Who is in on it and don't need to be brainwashed to do that because they're just like, yeah, no, sounds great. I'm in for some action.
And the science monkeys who want to be in charge.
Right.
So immediately after this new group of initiates completes their training and are in, everybody gets injected and they're sent out to kill abnegation.
Right.
All of abnegation. Men, women, and children, fucking all of them.
Yes. Yep. I mean, most especially council members, but yeah. Yes.
They were lining everybody up against
But they were lining
wall.
everyone up. Yeah. It was council members first and then, we'll get to the other people.
It was a full purge.
Yeah. Yeah. Very disturbing.
Very disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, if you're divergent, the serum doesn't work on you.
It does not, because you realize it's not real.
And luckily, the divergent people who are also smart divergent people know to pretend it works on them.
Right. Oh, poor...
What's
Eric?
his face? I don't think we knew that guy.
Yeah. Yep.
He got shot
No,
in
I
the
don't
head,
think
though.
we do. Yeah. Yeah. He kind of walks around saying, what's going on? And it's like, oh, dude, get with the program.
He was probably like an Amity Candor Dauntless divergent and not like an erudite divergent. You want that erudite in your divergence. Otherwise, you get shot in the head.
Yeah.
Whoopsie.
Right. So now, Four and Triss are like part of the military going in to take over Triss's own family and faction. And so...
Wait, but Four's divergent too?
Oh, yeah, by the way, Four's divergent too.
Neat!
That's why he knew all that stuff about how to beat the test.
Oh.
And why he was training her to do so.
That makes a lot of sense.
Doesn't it, though? Yeah.
And it's kind of subtle. Like, we don't really have much of a conversation about, you're divergent. Okay, cool.
Right, you're right. You kind of learn in this thing that he grabs her hand and you're like, oh, phew. And he was doing a lot better job of pretending he was a mindless fool than she was. She was not playing it up very well.
She wasn't. But that was a good moment, though.
Mm-hmm. It was, yeah, absolutely.
That was actually it, because everybody around her is mindless. She's going along so she doesn't get shot in the head, but what the fuck is she going to do? And she spots Four up ahead of her on the train and slowly makes her way up, which seems very stupid.
Seems very stupid. If there had been a leadership, Dauntless leadership person in there, they would have figured it out real quick, but man.
But then when she gets up next to him and just stands there shoulder to shoulder, And he seems just as brainwashed as everybody else, but then his hand slowly reaches over and grabs hers, and just the restrained relief on both of their faces when they make contact with each other, because neither of them knew for sure until that moment. It's really well acted and played. And it
is, yeah.
It makes it worth it to watch her do that stupid thing.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, it gets buck wild very quickly and very desperately. And then action, dead parents, very sad.
Oh, very sad. Like, sold on the sadness, too.
Oh, totally sold on the sadness. Her holding her Ashley... her mom's Ashley Judd, and she's great, and she's beautiful.
Of course, always.
Natalie, who, her mom was a Dauntless, so she's actiony and badass before she gets straight ganked. It's very sad when she's holding her and crying. I feel it. I feel the pain.
Yeah. Yeah. Her dad, she finds her dad and her brother, and her dad, being abnegation, like, realizes on his daughter's word, like, he listens to his daughter, and he's like, oh, okay, so, like, we need to do this, and we need to do this quickly, because, every moment that we hesitate, another abnegation person is killed, and another a Dauntless person becomes a murderer, a brainwashed Dauntless person.
Love that Triss says that.
Yes.
I love that there's an acknowledgement not just of the fact that time is of the essence because, abnegation is about to be murdered, but the people in Dauntless are being controlled.
Yeah.
So they're not doing this of their own volition, and as soon as their minds were freed, they would be murderers. They would know what they had done, and they would not have wanted to do it, most of them, hopefully.
Yeah. They would have, felt just, it would have been a forever weight on their soul.
Right? And she has to shoot some of the brainwashed Dauntless people to get away, including someone who is her friend.
Right.
And you feel that too.
Yeah. Yep.
It is a good moment. She has to keep fighting through, but there's that I killed him moment. And it's...
Yeah, we recently talked about a similar thing with the stormtroopers, Amber. The stormtroopers in the new Star Wars movies, where they ain't clones no more.
Yeah, the Star Wars movies, especially the last one, those stormtroopers are children that were kidnapped and brainwashed.
We learned this. We learned this about Finn, who figures that he doesn't have to do what he's brainwashed into doing.
And you just murder them constantly.
They're just
murder them. Faceless things wearing masks so we don't have to think about the brainwashed child inside that white armor. We are not going to agonize over this. Thank you, Divergent. We should think about the person on the other side of that gun.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I guess, we do get to know those people as she's training with them, and they're humanized. But still, come on, Star Wars. I also, I have to say, romance aspect, not mad at it.
No, I'm not mad at it either. Yeah, it makes sense. There's chemistry between the actors. They seem to be like a team that respect each other. There's not like a weird chase of one of them going after the other and trying to convince them that they like each other, which happens in a lot of teenage movies.
So often.
That's good. Respect. Yeah. There's mutual respect there.
Yep. The power dynamic is surprisingly even, despite the fact that he's in a leadership role and one of her trainers. It doesn't have... She always feels like an equal.
Right.
That you are convinced of Triss's power. You are convinced of her aptitude and her ability without ever feeling like she's superpowered and OP in this movie. You feel her desperation and you feel her fragility, but you also never question like her competence or her willingness to throw herself at something without being stupid about it.
Oh, yeah.
She thinks about things. She works the angle. She does what needs to be doesed.
Yes, she does do what needs to be doesed, Amber.
Yes. And it's also not a main focus of the story. It's a part of the story, and it's a well-done part of the story. It's a relatively nuanced part of the story, but the point isn't for Triss to get the boy.
Right. And in fact, I was thinking about it in terms of the Bechdel test, and I don't think Triss actually talks to anybody about this relationship. Like,
no, ma'am. The closest she comes to talking about it is when, even before they even kiss for the first time, Four saves her from those 3 boys that were going to throw her off the cliff because she was too good at the brain thing.
Oh, dear.
And he lets her sleep in his apartment so she doesn't have to go back to the barracks where they were all sleep together and she wouldn't be safe. And he gives her one of his sweaters. And her friend asks her,
right.
Is that a new sweater? And she says, no. And then we don't talk about it anymore.
And then that's it, yeah.
It is not an entrance to, oh, but this boy. Nope.
Nope. They've got other bigger things to worry about.
Like the fact that one of my friends tried to throw me off a fucking cliff.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It all cumulates? No, that's not the word.
Cromulates?
It all accumulates.
Culminates?
Culminates? There it is. There's the right letters. Thank you. It all culminates with them fighting their way essentially to Janine, Kate Winslet's character, who again we've got this woman being the kind of evil mastermind of the erudite faction, which is, she's certainly evil, but like she's also like clever and smart about it and like conniving and yeah, pretty good evil.
Yep, and driven.
Lady. Yeah. Yep.
She's very good at being evil. She's very, because she's so reasonable.
Oh, she's so reasonable. She almost makes sense most of the time.
Almost makes sense. And there's a good moment where they do manage to finally brainwash Four, but then Triss breaks him out of it because she knows what's inside of his brain. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Triss and Four get the upper hand of Janine and her people, because once you get through all of the brainwashed Dauntless folks, it's just a bunch of microscope monkeys with guns.
Yeah, they cannot fight 2 Dauntless people. Are you kidding me?
They can't do that.
No.
And Janine gets a knife through her hand.
Mm-hmm.
And then the same knife gets pulled out of her hand and put to her throat, and Triss is like, you need to shut this program down. Because Janine, realizing the situation was spiraling out of her control, immediately starts to activate the Dauntless people to finish the purge.
Line
them up and shoot them.
Yeah.
Knife to her throat, she won't back down.
No, she will not. She's
like, you're willing to die for your convictions. I'm willing to die for mine.
Mm-hmm.
Respect, evil sister friend.
Yeah, that is hardcore. You want the power, like you want the power dynamic to change so much that you don't even need to be around for the power. You just need it to change, which is kind of wild because things were going well until you decided to break the peace.
But were they, Megan? In her mind, they were not.
In her mind, they were not.
She's willing to die for that belief. Triss, because she's not just a Dauntless.
No,
Megan.
She's a Divergent.
She's like, okay, I could take your head off, but that won't actually stop this program. Oh, I remember. Fucking mind control serum. It's sitting right here.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Kind of great.
Yeah, it is kind of great.
Well done.
Yeah.
And then it, travels off to the end of the movie, which is leading into the next movie.
Sure. Yeah. Our intrepid heroes go off on the perpetual motion train into the
great unknown.
Great unknown, yeah.
She no longer has parents to worry about because they're both dead.
Right, yep. Her brother's with her at this point, and so is Four, and maybe another... Oh, right, and
Peter.
Christina and Peter, yep.
Is Christina with them? No, Christina's not with them.
Oh, maybe she's not, no.
No. She was about to shoot those folks.
Right, she was out, yeah. Excellent. So, Amber, what would you give this movie on the rock scale? Regrettable, outstanding, crazeables, or K?
This is one of the many times where I truly hate the rock scale because it doesn't work. This movie is not outstanding, nor is it K or crazeballs, and it's certainly not regrettable.
Yep.
It's a good movie. It's entertaining. It's a good female-led, young adult action movie. Like it's anybody can enjoy it, but it's aimed at a wider audience than something like The Expendables is. And it's great to see a fucking woman in a position of power doing awesome things and being smart and stuff.
Are you proposing, Amber, that we should have a rocked scale where it's Regrettable, outstanding, craze balls, K, and decent. Rocked.
How did you make something so bad even worse? I can't participate in this.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. It's, for the movies that we watch, this is outstanding for the most part.
I mean, it is certainly a better movie than what we usually watch and celebrate.
What we usually do. Yeah. But is it an outstanding movie? No. But is it definitely worth the watch if you're in for some like fun, women-led, sci-fi dystopian shit? Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good movie.
It is.
There's two others that I think are okay.
We're going to see.
We're going to find out. We'll let you know.
Yes.
In a few weeks.
Indeed.
When the journey ends.
Yes.
Megan.
Yes, Amber.
Do Anissa's story.
So this was one that we got a video of where Dan was playing a game with Maddie. He was holding her up and helping her peek around a doorway, and Erica was saying, "Where are you?" And then Maddie would say, "Here I am." And then it was very cute. It was like a peekaboo kind of thing. And then at some point, Maddie you can hear her kind of behind the door jamb saying, "Where am I?" So she's kind of taken over Erica's role. And then when Dan pokes her out, she gets kind of confused about the words she's saying. She says, "Where am I? Here I am, my eye." And it's just a confluence of words that, got all jumbled in her brain.
Because the call and response had already been broken.
Right, exactly.
Because she said the "where am I?"
Yeah.
And then
Here I am, where I am I.
Here I am, where am I?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Or maybe she's asking a larger existential question. Is this where she is, or is it just where she's most likely to be? And what does that really say about her state of being and personhood?
Yeah, exactly. That's a really good question, Amber.
That's a deep toddler.
Amber, do you have a recommendation?
Megan, I don't know if I have a recommendation.
You don't? Amber, there's something that I might recommend, and it's something maybe you have experience with, and it's called physical therapy. Do you ever, Amber, do you ever do physical therapy?
Megan, as chance would have it, I do physical
Amber,
therapy.
Do you ever spend a third of your life doing physical therapy?
A third of my waking life, yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That is a good point. I do highly recommend physical therapy. I do about 2 hours of it every other day. Mm-hmm. That, of course, does not include my every other weekly hour-long appointment of physical therapy with a physical therapist who then gives me the exercises. It would be every week, but insurance will not pay for more than 30 appointments.
Isn't that fantastic?
Yes, considering that it is quite literally the only treatment for my genetic disability.
Yeah,
physical therapy. I highly recommend it. There are many, many reasons one might go. Rehabilitation, weakness, chronic pain. Mm-hmm. It's very good and very useful, but it does require a lot of self-starting on your part. The appointments themselves are not what get you there. It's doing the exercises all of the time when you're supposed to do them.
Yes.
But hey, it makes a huge difference. Why do you recommend it, Megan?
Well, recently, both my mom and my uncle are doing some physical therapy for some kind of acute things that have come on, and it has been very, very helpful for both of them. And sometimes you just need to work at it, which is not the easiest solution, but it's certainly, good to have it as a possibility to make you feel better or stronger or more balanced or what have you.
It's true. It is work. Mm-hmm. It is like therapy for the brain parts.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It turns out that the appointments themselves do not fix you. There's no cure. It is hard work, and it is mostly going to be done by you.
Like Tish trying to become better as a dauntless, so goes physical therapy. therapy.
If you want your spine to be in the right position and your legs to stop popping out of their sockets, it turns out you're going to have to do some work. You're going to have to roll up your sleeves.
Yep.
Do those exercises. Get that TheraBand.
Do it.
Work those hip flexors and peripheral muscles.
Yeah. Support those joints.
Definitely support those joints. And the core. You can't forget the core.
You can't forget the
Core strength is essential.
Yes, it is.
Yes, definitely recommend physical therapy. If you are having any issues, if you think you might have issues, get some physical therapy. It's good for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Exercise.
Delightful.
Well, this has been fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think we did, I would say, like a D effort of not just describing the movie.
Yeah, I would put us at a C-, but okay.
I will D plus it. I'm willing to go that high.
Okay, sure.
And, well, I'll leave you here. I look forward to watching, I believe the next one is Insurgent.
Okay.
The next one in the series of the Divergence. We go straight to Insurgents, which seems intense.
It does.
And I look forward to seeing you there when we do that, Megan. I hope you have a good weekend this year and a good day to you.
Excellent. I'll close it up like I always do by saying, man is harder than iron, stronger than rock, and more fragile than a rose.
See, the thing about that is that I agree with the last part. If you, for example, take iron and rock and drop them on a man, he will squish much like a rose, only different from a rose because a rose is not filled with gushy blood, meat, and bone.
Yeah.
In some ways, the rose might fare a little bit better. It'll get a little crushed, but it won't just gush everywhere. I'm not sure how a man is iron and rock because, again, if you take a rock and you hit it against a rock, yoo-hoo, maybe tripped a little bit. Rock, man, gushy. Right. Iron against iron. Clang, clang, clang. Iron against man. My spleen. You know?
Help me.
You don't get that from rocks and iron.
Yeah.
And my assumption is that beautiful, artful, metaphorical saying is attempting to tell me that man's feelings are so delicate and he has multitudes within him, the vastness of the ocean from sorrow to joy. I would argue that it's actually the bones that are the most fragile. And there's no part of a human person, much less a man, that I would equate with iron or rocks.
What about man's will, Amber?
I think, again, if you threaten him with iron and rocks, one will see that will bend and break.
What if he's dauntless, Amber?
Then I guess I will just have to brainwash him with science potion.
Science potion. The cure to everything.
Science potion would be the cure to everything. A lot of our problems could be fixed by science potion.
Like vaccines.
Or
the science potion of vaccines.
You've actually given me some ideas. Some rocks and some iron. I think a lot of fragile rose men could meet my iron and rocks. We could have a conversation. And then...
It's a lot of air quotes, Amber.
We could just... I've learned some things from Kate Winslet's character in this movie. But where she has failed, I will succeed.
Oh, boy.
It's not the selfless people I'm going to go after.
Okay, well, great. I think this is just a super villain in the making.
I have some plans to drop.
Oh.
I gotta go, Megan.
Okay.
Bye now.
Bye, Amber.